Well, we just wrapped up round number 1 of the Indian National Finals Rodeo. Year number 49, the 49er. We got the first one under our belt. Brett, what'd you think of day 1?
Feels good. I'm ready to talk about it. Ready to dive in. We got some. We've been talking about back here. Really good action today.
We did talk about some story points earlier, but now it's time to
we
recap.
prepared for this. We don't just come on and do it live, contrary to popular belief.
It's a chemistry, man. How long? 15 years we've worked together.
Yeah,
now?
exactly.
Right.
15 minutes.
Bareback
roughly.
ride. Let's go to it. Let's start it off in the bareback riding. Leaderboard looked just like this. Bang, bang, boogie. My bad, I forgot that you just told me that. Let me take that thumb seat cushion off of the couch here. All right. Bareback riding. Started out. Rolled with it. Little brother got the win tonight.
Yeah, Coy Bentley, 82 points, and that evening perf, 81 points from Shane O'Connell, 81 points from Evan Bentley, 81 points from Clay Ramon as well. Cashin Ford led with 78 coming in. All 4 of those guys upped him, but really, really good spur ride from Cashin Ford on that horse that stuttered a little bit. So I think that might matter a little bit moving forward. He didn't quite crack that 80-point barrier, but he's going to be in the mix because he made a great ride. Also, Stephen DeWolf down at 74. He would have liked a couple more points, but some work to do for him. He's not out of it, though, but 82 points for Coy Bentley to get that win.
And this is where the draw comes into play. I was excited to see Coy Petone get the win because we've talked about his brothers year in and year out and the success that they've had in the turquoise circuit of the PRCA and in the International Finals world. And then little brother, Coy Petone, says, hey, I got something to prove this year at the Indian National Finals Rodeo. Bareback riding, we're going to keep rolling with it the rest of the week. That's one of those events we're going to be watching. From the buck and shoot side of things, we went to the big fellas, as we always do, the steer wrestling tonight as well. Another talking point, man. This rodeo, year number 49, is going to be the best yet.
Yeah, Ty Allen Fisher comes in, 494, takes the lead. And we were just talking about this. I didn't think anyone would beat him. And then we had 3 times in a row that all beat him. We end up with Titan Sodi on top, 4.16 seconds. And that kid is he is so exciting. You were talking about his 2023 world title, but he's kind of got that swagger that it looked like in 23. He looked awesome tonight.
And that's just, it seems like his mantra as we're looking back at the leaderboard. Do you want to talk about leaderboard, or are we good to just looking at it while we're okay? Cool. Yeah. No. Tadon Sosi, Mr. Cool, Calm, Collected, Mr. Show Up, do what you're told, do what you do best, do what got you here. We talked about it a few years ago. Him climbing through the ranks of the Indian National Finals Rodeo qualifier, the last chance for those of you that remember that. But as we're watching this run back, this is just where this youngster shines. Something about the South Point, I don't know what he's got coming out of the faucet in his hotel room, but I got to be drinking some of that water because this guy is just, he rises to the occasion. When he comes to the South Point, he is ready to go. He's hot. He's electric. He does what he does best, and it just seems like the South Point, it's a snowball effect. Once he gets down here, he gets one thrown, especially when it's this fast. History shows that he starts to move. I say history, but it's only one world title, but I don't know. Might repeat itself this year.
Yeah, and he had a great steer too and took advantage of it. And we were talking with Dean earlier about how sometimes in the tie down roping you get ones that you want to take advantage of and ones you just want to get by. He had one to take advantage of, and to do that and be 4.12 seconds and win the round so emphatically when you have a good steer, that's got to feel really, really good for him moving forward.
I interviewed Ty Fisher in the morning, and I talked to him last night just briefly, and he said this is the pen of cattle in the Bulldog, and this is the most steer wrestler friendly cattle that he's ever seen down here at the Indian Finals, and he's been down here a lot. So he said this is going to be the year where you're going to start seeing super, super fast times. We're going to be breaking that 4-second barrier in no time, I'm sure.
Yeah, like I said, I thought his 4.94 was safe. It was far from safe. He ends up 4th in the round.
Because historically, you're sub 5 seconds, you're sitting good,
would
right?
have been good enough.
And he's still in the money spot, right? Like he's still setting himself up for an aggregate race and a world title race. But Tadon Sosi, Megan talked about it when we talked with her earlier today. It's the mantra down here at the South Point. You got to push the barrier. You got to go fast. You can't just be safe. You can't just safety up. You got to gas it every single time.
And like we talked about, I think it's only going to get faster and faster across the board. So good to see the steer wrestling. If we're starting at 4.12, can we get 3.7, 3.8 by the end of the week? Let's hope.
We will. From the Bulldog, we're going to move on to the ladies' event, the Ladies Breakaway Open. And in Indian country, this is quickly growing to be one of the best events to watch.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun today. We had a lot of girls going for it, a lot of broken barriers, which we talked to Megan about. That is going to happen there. But 262, that's kind of the starting winning time that we've got up on the board. And then you see Cassidy Dennison there, 268. She was in the morning, 268 again from Carrie Jo Lawrence, and then Megan Lunak, 295. But I think we're going to see these times get a lot faster, and sub 3 is going to become a lot more common. We're not just going to only have 4 or 5 cowgirls. I would almost guarantee that we have 6 or 7 sub 3 second runs tomorrow on the breakaway.
And this is what I love. 295, Megan Lunick in the 4 spot on round number 1 on Tuesday, right? You get to Saturday night, the number 4 spot, with the way these breakaway ropers are going to be pushing this barrier and the way that they're just going to rise to the occasion, number 4 spot might be a 2.1 or a 2.2, right? Maybe even sub 2 seconds this year because, like we talked about, this is the Pinnacle Cavs to do it. And with the ladies who are always so prevalent in a world title race outside of Indian country, missing or not doing as well in the first go-round, that's when we start to see quick things happen not out of frustration, but out of hunger, right?
Yeah, that was, one of our big things that we talked with Megan about is Danielle Lohman missing means that she is going to be appointment television when she backs in the box, because you could very well see 1.8, 1.9. I would put that as equally likely as her not getting a qualified time, as her missing. Like, sub 2 it's either going to be that or it's going to be another miss. That's kind of what it looks like moving forward, which again, that's awesome for us. That's wildly entertaining. So
right, yeah, as fans of the sport,
yeah.
And you talked about it. This is one of the events that you were most excited to watch down here at the INFR. Is it living up to your expectation?
Yeah, we have 3 national finals breakaway girls. 1 missed, 1 in the middle of the pack with Bailey Bates, that 3.32, and then 1 with Cassidy Dennison up there at 2.68. So kind of 3 different storylines unfolding there as well. And like Megan talked about, all these other girls can rope really, really well as well. So it's not just kind of the headliners up top. It's everyone else in the mix as well.
Well, should we call our shot? You think tomorrow's going to be your first sub 2 second run?
Yeah, why not? Let's not? We've hyped it up enough. It would be it would be a shame if I would have sit up here and say, 2.5 is going to win the round tomorrow after everything we just did. No, we'll go. Yeah, 1.95 will win it. How about that?
It will. Let's move on to our next event. Second rough stock event we saw tonight was the saddle bronc riding and electricity. That's going to be the name of the game throughout the week. I think this might be one of the better finals yet.
This is something that we really nailed in our preview. We nailed a couple things, got a couple things wrong in the preview. We talked about Creighton Curley and his ability to make those 82, 83, 84, 85-point rides, which he made today. And you can see it right here. He probably, with Larry's sister, he had the horse that bucked the best. We were talking about that earlier. He got the horse that bucked the hardest and really, really took advantage of it. Cash Deal up there, 82 points. He made a great spur ride as well. Cash Wilson as well with 83 points. And so we've already set ourselves up, like we talked about, with 330 is probably what it's going to take to win this thing. And right away, when you get an 85-point ride on the board with Creighton Curley, that's a good step toward that. All those guys, too, in that top 4 all came from the morning performance, too, as well.
Right, and 85 points at the top is no slouch, and that's kind of a rarity. I think in years past, we didn't break that 84, 83, 86 barrier until later on at the end of the week when everybody kind of got their mojo feeling. They started to see the full pen of horses on the first 2 go-rounds, but we started right out the gates, 85 points.
That's something we talked about in the preview as well. 69 points tied for second last year. 80 points won round 1. This year in both performances, in the evening and the afternoon, 4 rides over 76 points. So the leaderboard up there with guys who really, I don't want to say they didn't deserve it last year, but guys who really deserve to be there with those 77, 78, 80-point rides to get up in that top 4.
Right. Creighton Curley getting it done, 85 points. Poor Larry doesn't even know.
He was the guy we had our eye on right there. So
we're going to go to the tie-down roping, calf roping. Name of the game, man. Cattle have been good. Cowboys have been good. I thought Corbin Fisher this morning, I thought that time was going to hold. Truthfully, we just talked to Dean, music director, 10 seconds flat. Just when you think it can't get any better, who shows up?
Dalton Porch, 9-7-1, the college finalist, gets it done. I was surprised, too. You talk about the barriers, the 80-point barrier and the bareback riding, the saddle bronc riding. I was surprised we only had one guy under 10 seconds. And I was honestly kind of surprised we didn't have any that even flirted with 9 seconds, because like we talked about with all of these timed events, we get to later and later in the week. 975 is a good time. 975 as we get to round 3 and 4, that's probably closer to a 4th or 5th place time. Not a winning time, but 971. But credit to Dalton Porch. He knew what he had to do. He had all those times out in front of him, and he got the job done.
But the initiative, I don't know if you've ever driven by Kadoka, South Dakota. It literally just looks like a rest stop on I-90. You get through Rapid and you kind of go around this bend, and then it just says a sign out Kadoka, and there's a rest area there. To move from that and take the initiative to say, man, if I want to go to the top in the tight end roping, I got to move down south of Texas. Rodeo at Tarleton State. Do you think that helps out these tight end ropers?
I mean, you're in Texas, and you're in Stephenville more specifically, and so if you're in that area, I can't imagine it hurts your rope and hanging out in Stephenville, Texas. I'll say that.
Never. I know he was one that we were excited to watch, but he might be the Cinderella story in my brain just because, yes, he's good. Yes, he deserves to be here. Yes, he's a college finalist. Yes, he's roping down in Stevensville, tight end roping capital of the world, right? But there's so many other players in this race that I was not expecting him to rise to the top this early on.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw Dontre Goff get a qualified time. He won the season or won the tour title there. And he actually, I believe, got our first qualified time, because these tight end ropers really, really struggled early on in that afternoon performance. We only had 7 guys catch, and so we had less than half the guys going into tonight's performance. We only had 7 guys with qualified time on the board. So really right now, I mean, anyone with qualified time with no penalties, without any broken barriers, you're in all right shape, which means it's going to be interesting to watch, because there's so much time to go where no one has really separated at all, and there's 15 guys still in it, but we could see another 5-6 guys drop out tomorrow, and that continue to happen, where it just comes down to who catches 4 might be more valuable than we think right now in the tie-down roping.
And tie-down roping, just like any other events, I hate to say this, but you know what, man? It's the truth. I really think this year is going to be the best finals yet, because of where the standard is right now, where the bar is for the week is already so high after round number 1. So you got to tune in. You got to tune in. If you're not following along, please make sure you're watching on Ride Pass, following the INFR After Hours with me and Breton, because there's so much to talk about. There's so many talking points. There's so many good Cowboys, so many good runs, so many, so many guys that deserve this world title this year, it seems like, because of the accolades they've had, because of the finals they've been having so far. I know it's only round 1, but the year, it's a record-setting year, money earned in the tour. We've had record numbers. Guys have gone back to back to back to back, some new players. But history always repeats itself, man. Consistency is always key, and we got some wolves.
Yeah, and the scores and times are showing it. We talked about it in those rough stock events, and we'll talk about it in the bull riding as well. They're pushing up 85, 86 points, where, again, if we've set ourselves up at 85 points to start in the rough stock events, we can see way higher scores moving forward. If we set ourselves up in the steer wrestling, if we start at 4-1-2, well, that means we can break 4 later in the week. And so, again, just kind of level setting today. Really, really good rodeo across the board.
Absolutely. I'm going to go on a limb here. We're going to transition to our next event of the team roping. Not the turnout at all I was expecting for the team roping round 1. Right? We talked about it yesterday. You're either a team roper, a cross-country runner, a bull rider, or a basketball player in Indian country. Team roping just kind of, I don't know. It just didn't seem like we could catch a spark and get the flame.
It was interesting because all of these events, you see Ty Vale and Wyatt Gibson, 5-1-6. They were the last pair out in this afternoon's performance to get it done. But in all of these events, we're talking about what did happen and who's at the top of the leaderboard. But with team roping, it's really about who's not. I mean, it's that simple, because we talked about the moments back here. We're talking about the moments where we had the biggest crowd pop. Cassidy Dennison got the first big crowd pop of the day, 268 in the breakaway roping. On the flip side of that, on Eric Rogers and Aaron Sinegine's run, when they missed, you could hear a pin drop. That was as quiet as it got across the 2 performances, because no one expected it. And again, it was the first time that you could really feel that the INFR had begun, because all of a sudden, this, like I said, this place just went so silent. It was a funeral in here for 10 seconds, because no one could really believe it.
Absolutely. No, and then you could, like you said, you could feel the air leave, because usually when Rogers and Sinigine back into the box, especially the INFR, it's not, what are they going to play? It's not, hey, are we going to go for an arena record here? And if they're long, if they're out of the money, it's because of a barrier, it's because of a leg. It's not because of a clean miss. We talked about Odilo showing the breakaway open. A lot of these big names are not showing up for round number 1, so it opens the doors for guys like, I mean, not that he's a coming out of nowhere, but Ty Vale just off of a Canadian finals qualification too. He doesn't ever get to rope with Wyatt Gibson. Him and Wyatt Gibson come out together, and it seems like they've been roping together all summer long. Their run was awesome. Ty Vale just throws bombs, and he always connects. Wyatt Gibson, one of those famous names from down south, always clean it up on the backside. He's just Mr. Consistent. Another day in the office. I talked about Ty when I interviewed him in this afternoon's performance. Ty, we got to visit about his run, this, that, and the other, but his partner was just swung a leg over his horse, picked up his rope, tied it to a saddle horn, and was just right on out down the alley. Like, just another day in the office, man. But that's what it takes to succeed this week. Let's move on to the ladies' barrel racing and talk about the atmosphere here. We're hand raking every single turn. We're hand raking every single person. We're tractor dragging halfway through it at 8. The ground is all there. The INFR, the South Point, has been doing an outstanding job of making sure that everything is kept nice for these horses, for these cowgirls. And this is where we start seeing things happen like we did today.
Yeah, we saw Aaron Jones take advantage of that good ground after they dragged to make that 15.35 second run. I believe Teal Stoll was right after a dragger right around that as well this morning with the 15.41. But just you look at all of these times and you look at this leaderboard, but something that jumps out, same thing, is not a lot of our season leaders really up here on this leaderboard. JC Hawken there in 7th. That's really the only one who's in the mix so far. But again, in barrel racing, still a lot to go, and these times will get faster. But it is interesting to see, again, the heavy hitters not really hanging out near the top of the leaderboard today.
Exactly. And Aaron Jones, Chinley, Arizona, perfect barrel racing run, turn 3 barrels snappily, making it all the way around barrel number 3 and hustling home. This our horse can run. But the thing is she was kind of on compacted ground. I think she was in the middle of the drag. I think she was 3rd out or 4th out, so kind of right when it got good, as some barrel racers would say. You don't want the necessarily right off the top fluffy stuff to where you're deep and you're climbing out of the backside of the barrels. You want it kind of a happy medium of that to where, yes, it's compacted a little bit, not so much where it needs another drag, but to where they can still work out of it but not slip, you know what I mean, where it's deep enough. I learned that from my wife. She's a barrel racer, avid barrel racer. And I'm her biggest fan. No, I'm just kidding. Definitely. Sorry, I had to. Yeah, but no, seriously, though. These horses are taking advantage of the ground. Aaron Jones and her horse crushing it.
I would like to know, too, because I think there were 3 girls who went left tonight. Mm-hmm. And Aaron Jones was the first of those 3 girls to go left. So, again, wherever she is in the drag, in the pattern as well, but what difference does that make going left instead of going right and kind of taking the different route around the barrel? Because, like I said, I believe she was the first one we saw do that and then immediately went to the top of the leaderboard.
One of a couple, like you said, though. So it's an art. Sometimes these barrel racers will get a horse that truly can go either direction. So some of these barrel racers, if they are in the middle of the drag, or if their horse does run better on a little bit lighter ground, or deeper ground, they'll strategically choose which way they go. And when they warm up with those pop-up barrels and they kind of get into this arena, they know, all right, my horse is going to kind of, he'll find this barrel a little bit easier if I push him to the right, or he'll find this barrel a little bit easier if I push him to the left, where on the flip side, too, it could just be a game-time decision of, all right, I'm running down the alley, it looks like I'm watching the screen, X, Y, Z, B, whatever has gone down to the right, let's make a change and go to the left. So there might be an art to it. We'll have to talk more with him, and it might just be because of how the draw ended up, too. Tomorrow we might see left, right, right, left. You know what I mean? It could just switch. So we'll have to watch after go round number 2.
Either way, going left benefited Aaron Jones tonight.
Yep, exactly. Going left is sometimes the right move. Aaron Jones, your go round number 1 winner in the barrel racing. Nicely done. Let's go to one of the more exciting events, not just because it's the bull riding, but because there are so many players here. These guys are laughing because I've said this about so many of the events, but it's so true. And especially tonight in the bull riding and this afternoon. We were riding bulls this afternoon very, very steadily, very, very sharp at 1 in the afternoon. Where else is that going to happen?
We had Taj Wells open things up with that 73-point ride that you see in 7th place. He was the first qualified ride. That could have been good enough to win the round in some rounds. Instead, there's 6 people on top of him. 6 of the first 9 guys ride. It ends up being 6 of the first 12 overall. On the flip side of that, only 1 guy rides in the evening performance. However, it is Cole Wagner with 84 points. So the only guy to make the whistle tonight is now the guy sitting at top with 84 points there.
And this is a well-earned trip. This guy is kind of the guy you call on when you need something electric to happen. Look at this. He's hanging at the end of his rope by the end of this ride, but the reason being, Cole Wagner is known for his riding ability to ride with his legs, and he's feeding him iron around the turns. Like, this guy is a very good bull rider from the waist down, believe it or not. This year, he doesn't have an ACL. He doesn't have half the ligaments in his knee. He's foregoing his circuit finals qualification in Montana. This is his last stop of the year, so he's letting it all hang out, and that's truly when things start to happen, is when you have nothing to lose. You know you're going to go back to surgery. You're not going to go to Great Falls in the spring, or in January, and be riding bulls at another circuit finals where he's won the average air so many times. This is it. This is 2025, and this is a break for 6 to 8 months with an ACL at least. So I'm really excited to see how he takes advantage of truly these last opportunities for a few months.
I mean, you talk about a storyline. You got a guy, like you said, letting it all hang out for 9 months. He's not going to get on bulls perhaps on there. And so to get that first one rode, if he can go 3 for 4, 4 for 4, again, what a story that would be, to be perfect before you go take a seat on the couch and heal and rehab and all of that. But again, it's just it's a really cool story, really cool moment. Even if nothing else, even if he gets bucked off the next 3, to have that round 1 win, awesome way to start. And then same thing in the bull riding, like we talked about in some other events. Some of the bigger names get bucked off as well. So this door is open. These bulls are bucking really hard. We're gonna see big scores. And again, I was really impressed top to bottom with the bull riding quality, with the bull riders, as well as the quality of the bull power as well. It was really impressive today.
Cole Brewer is a guy that you can't count on. He's just 1 point behind right now in the aggregate race, obviously after round 1. But Cole Brewer, I called him the Iron Man of rodeo. I don't know if you've seen this floating around on social media, but earlier this summer, Phenom Genetics put on a bull riding, or I can't remember exactly what the story was, but Cole Brewer got on 12 bulls in 2 days and won every single penny of that $20,000 added. And Matt said, you know what, that's not good enough. I'm going to give you a $1,000 bonus because you are just dirty, rotten, tough. And that's what Cole Brewer does. That's what Cole Brewer does. That's what's got him a Badlands circuit finals win, right? Like, he just builds and builds and builds because he is so dirty, rotten, tough. And there's nothing that shakes Cole Brewer. Back there, he's the happiest guy alive, right? Not only because he's leading the go-around, but you walk by him in the hallway, he's the same way. How you doing? Big smile on his face. You know what I mean? Like, he's just happy-go-lucky, but dirty, rotten, tough, too.
And when he stepped off that bull today, there was no one happier after any rough stock ride in this arena. He was fired up, and that was cool to see as well. Again, like we talked about, just getting the crowd going, getting the energy of the finals. That was a finals moment right there when he rode that bull for 83 points.
Yes, it was. Even pointed and gave him a little gunshot. And
all the guys are doing that's become a popular celebration now, is gunning that bull down.
It is, and they're gunning him down. We got some outlaws here, some
knocking him
handy
down.
6-shooters, and you'll be a daisy if you do, these bulls. And they're stepping up to the plate. Bull riders, round number 1 did not disappoint. Brett, it's been a pleasure, round number 1. I'm looking forward to round number 2. My name is Ryan Davis. This is the INFR After Hours with U.S. Cowboy Brett Nierengarten. Thank you so much for everything, Indian Country. Tune in for round number 2. You do not want to miss a beat.